Hey folks, welcome back to another video. You join me on a sunny but windy day here in Llanberis with a lanyard in my hand. You might have seen I did a slightly spoofy video on Instagram and like YouTube Shorts the other day about the best way to carry a lanyard has been to drop it and leave it behind. Yeah, it was completely clickbaity. It amused me and it amused a few people. That was the name of the game, really. I am a fan of lanyards. There, I said it. I love them. They're great, but I only use them in certain circumstances. Sometimes I don't think they're great. Sometimes I find them a faff, a hindrance, an unnecessary piece of kit that clearly is going to make the difference between me ticking that project or not ticking that project. Clearly I'm joking there. But I must admit, I often don't really like climbing with a lanyard on. I think there's a series of uses or not uses for them. In my work stuff, one place I might choose to use them, quite generic, I'll come on to these points in a minute. Single pitch sport climbing, super popular for that, aren't they? Multi-pitch sport climbing, yeah, a great use for them potentially. Trad climbing, I'm going to say trad climbing in the UK, based in the UK. Our trad climbing here tends to be some pitches but not many. A lot of our trad climbing is single pitch, but I'm thinking more of like multi-pitch kind of stuff. It might be 2, 3, 4, 5 pitches. There's some longer ones, but not many. The other use, which I think was 5, I closed my hands and forgot how many I said, was like more of the Alpine kind of stuff, where you're climbing lots of pitches, often with in situ belays, not always, but sometimes, and then perhaps like a series of abseils, either en route or to get off the route afterwards. And I'll try and cover those. Now, in a work sense, first and foremost, I flipping love a lanyard. For me, when I'm at work, doing climbing type stuff, put my harness on, put my helmet on, put my lanyard on. It's kind of part of the same thought process, really. It means that if I'm doing a setup, I can clip into something, be it that master point there, be it even one thing, like one really good nut or something, while I'm building the rest of the belay. I'm not hanging on one nut, but it's like an extra line of defence. It's better than nothing sometimes, isn't it? There's other ways of using that, but it's something to keep myself a little bit safer than I might otherwise be. It could be, it's just a quick way of clipping into stuff when I have got there. It keeps me out of the system, out of the ropes and things, which might be an advantage. When I'm jugging alongside someone coaching, leading, it's great to be able to clip into re-belays as I go past them. It perhaps has some slightly tenuous method of clipping to other people, but I'm not really a big fan of that in all honesty, but it's a thing. So work, yeah, use it all the time. Far better than a sling. There's a sling. Far better than a sling. Why is it better than a sling? Well, it stretches a little bit. Let's not kid ourselves. Don't stretch a lot. There's not enough rope to stretch a lot, is there? It's chunkier, it's super adjustable. That's the really nice thing, isn't it? I can make it long, I can make it short in a split second. A sling, I can make it shorter by adding knots or whatever. There's a bit of a faff in it. And you never get it quite as perfect as you can with like an almost infinitely adjustable lanyard. Say infinitely between there and there, clearly. So I love a lanyard for work. Do I love, the next one I said was single pitch sport climbing, I think. I'm taking my lanyard off because I don't even take one to the crag single pitch sport climbing. That doesn't mean I think they're bad. I think they're actually really good for it. I just don't use one. We've got choices. We can use the lanyard, and then when we're cleaning a sport route, we clip in at the top, don't we? And we can get it perfectly adjusted again, and that's all great. It's super safe. You can use a screw gate, you can use some form of self-lock or whatever. But it is a really nice, secure way of doing things. But I don't do that. What I use is a quick draw. If I'm projecting a route, I actually leave enough stuff at the top to do this, so I'll leave a screw gate for cleaning. I might leave an extra quick draw for cleaning as well as all the ones in the route. That way, when I'm climbing, I have nothing on my harness. And this might sound a bit pointless, because is a lanyard weight going to stop me ticking that project? No, of course it's not, but every little does count. And it's like, it is a mindset thing. It's like harness stripped performance time. It works for me, right? Might have no effect on you whatsoever, but it is part of the getting in the zone thing for me. So what do? Well, actually, I get a quick draw, and I clip the quick draw into something at the top, be it a ring, be it another quick draw, whatever, and that keeps me located there. Is that safe? In the truest sense of the word, potentially not really. I'm attached, but it's not the best thing in the world, is it? Is a lanyard better? Yes, it is. Absolutely it is. Requires some thought, this, doesn't it? It's snap gates. I'm still on the rope when I'm cleaning. I never come off the rope. I'm always on the rope. I'm always on belay. So you could think of this as like a positioning thing rather than a full layer of safety. You never need to go off belay when you're cleaning a sport route. If you're going off belay when you're cleaning a sport route, revisit the process and you'll be able to do it a better way. My biggest near miss, and actually my biggest fall in climbing, was on a sport route, doing exactly this. You should not be taking those kind of falls on a sport route, really. What happened? I've done a whole video on this where I chat about it in Chile in Spain, which is where it happened as well. Basically, I clipped in, but there was a twist. It was a DMM Alpha Sport, which is a similar design here. It's not a failing of the DMM quick draw, it's a failing of my process. But basically I put a twist in there, and especially with these sport quick draws, where they're stiff dog bones, which we normally like, it caused basically this to happen. You see how the gate has now gone onto the belay loop because I kind of unweighted it, and that's exactly what I did. I unweighted it, it's gone to there, and then as I've weighted it, that's happened, and I've gone like a long way, a really long way. Enough time to look up to try and work out what's happening, look down to see my belayer, getting closer, look up again, let out a whimper, and then finally come to a stop. And I got a massive rope burn on my hand. The short version is, I was clip sticking up a route, and it was at full stretch, and something happened. I knocked it, and I was at full stretch like this. That's why I unweighted the quick draw, so it was able to twist itself untwisted. I've knocked it, 'cause it's one of those beta sticks where the rope always falls out of them. So the rope's just come down. It was a long clip stick, so I had miles of rope out. And as I've sat back down, it's come undone, and I've gone flying with all that slack around. So what's the key to that? Well, you could say the key is to use a lanyard with a locker and stuff like that, and that's a perfectly sensible takeaway from that. The other takeaway would be, if you are going to use a quick draw, 2 takeaways. Make sure it goes in untwisted and keep weighting it. Just do not unweight it like I did. Live and learn. I got a lesson there. I'm sharing that lesson with you. Don't do what I did. When you know, you know. So do I still do it? Yes, I'm just really flipping careful with it. If you're in doubt, use a lanyard type thing. Could you use a sling for it? Yeah, again, you can. You can't get it quite the same adjustment, of course, and is a sling as strong? In some ways, no. We know it doesn't like to take a dynamic load because it's a static thing, so you've got to be careful with that. But can you do it safely? Yeah, absolutely you can. When I'm teaching people sport climbing, I'd probably teach them on a lanyard, because why not? When they then go away the next day or whenever and do their own thing, they're doing something that is like gold standard safety wise, rather than doing something that is not gold standard safety wise and requires more judgment. So if you start with a lanyard, you might discover through time, you develop and you are okay with this. But there would be zero judgment from me if I saw someone clipping with a lanyard. It's not like, oh, what a beginner. I don't even think anything. It's just a normal thing to do. So if you like a lanyard, great. Flip and use a lanyard for it. Multi-pitch sport. I haven't got any bolts here, but let's just imagine this is a sport anchor. Well, this is really good. Let me just grab my guide mode thing over here as well. So I'm climbing up a sport route, clipping my way up, and I get to the anchors. Whatever the setup is, it could be all sorts of things, but basically I can clip into something really quickly, get it tight as I want it to be. Safe. How long did that take? Moments. There's loads of ways of doing this, what you clip on bolts and stuff, but that's just a point there. So I've shut it down safe, that's on there, ready to go, pull the ropes up, blah, 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 all really quick and efficient. If I was lucky enough to live somewhere with loads of multi-pitch sport, there is a little bit in North Wales, but very little, some on the Slate, some other few random bits, but basically we just don't have it. But if I was, multi-pitch sport climbing, I would put my lanyard on all day long. Love it. If you are abseiling down, great for that as well. For me, a no-brainer in that situation. Would a quick draw work? Yeah, but it's a bit different when you're, in my mind at least, you are belaying your mate up and it's a longer thing and there's more going on at a belay of them swapping, you swap, blah, blah, blah. I just think, why not take a lanyard for it? That's my personal choice. Could you use a sling for it? Lark's fitted in there. Yep, of course, just not quite as quick to adjust, is it? You're getting a theme here, I should imagine. Single pitch trad climbing, which we've got a lot of in the UK. Stanage is, I think, the most popular crag in the UK for trad stuff. What is the point of taking a lanyard for single pitch trad climbing? I don't see one, honestly. I'm attached with a rope, so when I build a belay, whether that's a master point, style or whatever, I'm using the rope to clovitch in. I might need the rope to build the belay. We do that a lot in the UK because we have to. We haven't always got gear that's close together. So I don't need a lanyard. It is serving no purpose. It is just as quick for me to go with the rope, clovitch, done, than it is to get this thing, clip it in. Like, so it's pointless. Multi-pitch trad in the UK. Again, personally, I just don't see much point in it. It's going to spend most of the day wrapped around you, however you're going to carry it, getting in the way, getting things clipped to it, getting in the way when you're trying to unclip bits and pieces, and we're not doing those kind of Alpine style routes. At the end of the day, if I do have to abseil down, honestly, personally, I'm just going to use a sling for it. You'll all have seen this setup, other videos on it, but I get my sling, I get the join out of the way, Lark's foot that in there, do a knot about a third of the way up, and that gives me an extended setup. If I need to do any adjustments, I can put another knot in there, clip into my anchors, make sure I stay snug on it all the time, belay device clips to there, cross it, down on the belay loop, done. And then if it's a multi-pitch abseil, which we don't do a lot of, but we do have, I've got something ready to go. So do I see an advantage of a lanyard there particularly? Not for me personally, no. Alpine style multi-pitch trad stuff. Yeah, well, it depends on the route, but I just feel there's like more advantage there because of the mixed terrain, whereby you might be doing some climbing, abseiling down, doing some climbing, abseiling down, doing some climbing, building a trad anchor, doing some climbing, ended up at bolts cemented in pegs, whatever, you know, an in situ thing, tap around a boulder. I just feel there's more instances that it's going to be useful to have that lanyard. So on that kind of environment, then yeah, I may well take a lanyard. For me, I am on the slimmer side, no judgment to those who aren't, so a lanyard for me fits quite neatly like that, and it keeps the cord of the lanyard up away from the gear loops so they can still just do their thing. If you've got more layers on, or you know, just aren't that slim, you're going to have a different way of carrying it. A popular one these days is a little twist, oops, clip that twist, clip it into gear loop. I don't like that one. Obviously you can adjust the lengths a bit. I don't like that one. I don't like the fact that this is here. I don't like the fact that there's some cord here. It just bugs me a little bit. I'm not saying it's unsafe, and if it works for you, flipping great. It works for loads of people. I see quite a lot of people doing it these days. It's just not my preference, that's all. I really don't like what I kind of call the American way, which is like a thong thing, is what I've heard it called. I just hate the idea of having something between my legs and falling off and that catching on something. And it's where the rope would be as well, so I don't like that when I'm going to be clipping and stuff. Someone suggested that clipping it to there and just tucking the rest down there. It's quite neat actually. I've never actually tried that in anger, and obviously you can change the lengths a little bit. Yeah, it looks quite nice. There's a loop that might get caught on stuff. Each to their own though. So in some circumstances, lanyard is flipping brilliant. I don't think anyone ever needs to buy a lanyard. I do think they are the best solution to some things, right? I do quite like this Rock Empire one because the cord is a bit thinner than the Petzl Connect Adjust, so I can more easily clip my, I haven't got a belay device in my house, but you know, clip my belay device to there when I'm doing the abseiling bit. I find the cord quite bulky on the Petzl Connect. I know some people more abroad change the cord. That's obviously changing manufacturers' guidelines and stuff like that. So I'm just saying for interest rather than anything noteworthy. I think the next Connect isn't too far off, and I think that's going to be slightly nicer to do your Clovich type thing in, but don't hold me to that. Hopefully I'll be able to get hold of one when they're out. But I do like them. I just don't always like them. It's as simple as that, really. If you like them in circumstances where I don't like them, great. Like, there's no judgment on these things. You just do what works for you. People can get like really defensive about these things. If it works for you, honestly, it's great, isn't it? Do whatever you want, really. But that's my take on it. After the silly video, I thought I owed the viewers a proper explanation of my thought process. Lanyards. If you got questions on them, chuck them in the comments below. If you like the video, click the like button, smash the subscribe button, find us on Insta, Facebook, use the Buy Me a Coffee link to support the channel. All the support, as always, massively appreciated. As always though, massive thanks for watching. More videos coming up very soon.